Hey everybody, welcome back to Sunday Afternoon Smokes, another cigar review for you today. My name's Chris, I'm your host. I'm the creator and host of Sunday Afternoon Smokes. I'm also the owner and operator of the Cigar Box, a mobile cigar bar that serves the upstate of South Carolina and beyond. I'll put my links to everything in the show notes. Later you can scroll those and find them if you want, whether that's on, you're listening to the audio only version of this podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, or you're watching the YouTube video. But just a cigar review today, a cigar that I've been wanting to smoke for a while, and I finally pulled it out, decided today's the day. Let's see how good we can get the focus here. This is Icarus by Jake Wyatt. I smoked their Lucid Interval, a month and a half ago or so, and I did a review on that. Busted out the Icarus for today, and the thing that I'm looking forward to on the Icarus is that the lady told me whenever I picked this up at the Jake Wyatt booth in Vegas was that there's some Tennessee fire cured tobacco in the cigar. So if you've ever smoked cigars, I mean, obviously you know what smoke is, but if you've ever had fire cured tobacco, it's different. There's just this extra layer of smokiness. There's not a ton of cigars out there on the market that use fire cured tobacco. I think the Drew Estate line, my Uzi weighs a ton, the Muwat Kentucky fire cured. If you've ever smoked any of that, you'll know what I'm talking about. But you can get on over to JakeWyattCigars.com, check out everything about them. They've got apparel and accessories, whole catalog, where to buy, all that good stuff. But you can go and click on their cigars, and I think this is the first one here listed, the Jake Wyatt Icarus. So I'm looking forward to lighting this up here in just a second. I've already punch cut on the back of my cigar right there. As you can see, this is a lovely, just kind of brown, like medium to medium dark brown wrapper on here. It looks great to the eye, and smells very light, maybe a little fruity on the nose, but we'll see what the actual cigar reveals when we light it up. On the foot, I get a little bit more robust flavor tones on the foot there, a little bit of sweetness. And so I'm looking forward to lighting this up, and I'm just going to go ahead and get into it while we chat. So lighting your cigar in the sun, always a challenge, just because if you're using a torch lighter, you can't really see that flame. I don't want to get too aggressive on the wrapper, just right above the foot. Lighting cigars in the evening is always great because you can really dial in, get that cigar just kind of at the tip of your flame. But in the sunshine, it's a little more challenging. But yeah, dude, that's awesome. First impressions, first few puffs. This is my kind of cigar. This is a face hitter. This is a banger. This is full throttle, all gas, no brakes. That's exactly the things that I love in the flavor profile of a cigar. And I'll tell you why this cigar is so robust. Number one, this is a Mexican San Andreas wrapper. I love Mexican San Andreas stuff, and it's just that it's a bolder tobacco, the Mexican San Andreas. It's a more hearty, rugged tobacco. The leaves are a bit thicker. And because of the nature of that particular variety of tobacco, it can handle higher temperatures of fermentation. So they, usually if you're smoking a Maduro cigar, the wrapper on that, chances are it's Mexican San Andreas, it's Connecticut broadleaf, it's Pennsylvania broadleaf. And those are the areas that I really love, especially if you like a dark cigar. Now, as you can see, of course, if you're watching the video here, this is not super dark. It's not even a shade of black, right? We're still this nice toasted brown, maybe just almost a golden brown, if you will. So a cigar doesn't necessarily have to be, edging on black or in black to be a Maduro. This is a Mexican San Andreas Maduro wrapper. And it just imparts a ton of flavor. But there's another leaf in here that also has some zip to it that I really like. I've already mentioned it. I should have taken a photo of this cigar before I got started. So I'm going to stop just a second here. Bear with me. I'm going to take a photo because, you've got to do it for social media. Let me get this mic out of the way. So in conjunction with the Mexican San Andreas in this cigar, in the filler, they also have Pennsylvania broadleaf. So I said a few minutes ago that San Andreas, Pennsylvania broadleaf, Connecticut broadleaf, those, like, if I had to pick out just a handful of tobaccos that I would call my personal favorite, it would be those three. I mean, I like tobaccos, across the board. I just enjoy cigars in all of their shapes and sizes and different blends. I like them all. By and large, there's been a few that I have not enjoyed. That's really rich on the retrohale. I mean, this is a freaking excellent cigar. Yeah, I'm excited. I am super jazzed right out the gate on this one. So Jake Wyatt Icarus, hats off to Jake Wyatt on this blend. But anyway, I was saying that if I had to just pick out a handful of tobaccos that I would put, on my favorites list, Connecticut broadleaf, Pennsylvania broadleaf, Mexican at San Andreas. I love it. I like Cameroon stuff also. And of course, the nations that are putting out great cigars today, Dominican Republic, which I believe Jake Wyatt is a boutique Dominican brand, although they are headquartered in California. So I spent a significant amount of time in California. So, and California is not, a very tobacco friendly state. So kudos to you on two fronts, Jake Wyatt, sticking it to California on the tobacco. And then, just this cigar, freaking baller. So Pennsylvania broadleaf in the filler section, doubled up with the Mexican San Andreas, brings a nice bold flavor. But there's a third tobacco in this one. They've got a lot going on here, and that's why this cigar, like I said, on the retrohale is super rich, because there's a lot of richness in this cigar, Pennsylvania broadleaf. There's also Piloto Cubano in the blend of the filler. So our Piloto Cubano tobacco came to the Dominican Republic in 1962. The embargo hits, things get crazy. People are smuggling, people are fleeing Cuba, people are leaving Cuba for various reasons. And then the smuggling of tobacco seeds begins around this time. It's probably been going on even before the embargo came, as there was unrest and things weren't, I'm not an expert on Cuba, okay, by any stretch of the imagination. I'm an expert on very little. If I was going to call myself an expert on anything, it would be on, growing a beard. And that's not anything you have to have any knowledge of. That's just something your body does if you've got the genetics for it. I'm an expert on smoking cigars. How about that? Right? Not on growing tobacco, not on how a cigar is made, though I know the process mentally. I've never done it. There's a lot I don't know about that whole process. But when it comes to smoking a cigar, I cut it, I light it, I smoke it. I'm really good at smoking. So you see, there's really not a ton that I'm an expert on. So I'm not an expert in the history of Cuba and the embargo and the unrest and the communism and just all of that going on. But in 1962, people started smuggling the seeds that what we have today is, Piloto Cubano. They smuggled them out of Cuba into the DR. A lot of them wound up, just kind of stuffed in envelopes with cotton. And Piloto Cubano became one of the most versatile tobacco types in the country. Man, that's excellent. That's high praise. I plan on doing a cigar thing at the end of the year with my top 5. Um, I'd be surprised if this was not in it. This is just, man, I don't know, kind of blown away right now. But Piloto Cubano in general is considered to be uh, a very flavor forward tobacco, very intense flavors. You mostly find it used as filler, although there are some exceptions. The Fuente family will use it as in the sun grown. That we use it a sun grown wrapper leaf. There's plenty of stuff out there with Piloto Cubano in it. Obviously, the Jake Wyatt Icarus, which we're smoking today, the Davidoff Grand Cru #3. Punch After Dinner cigars have that. La Flor Dominica's Reserva Especial. All of those have, Piloto Cubano in it. So they've kind of made this a powerhouse when it comes to, just full throttle, full flavor, Mexican San Andreas, Pennsylvania broadleaf, Piloto Cubano, and then throwing in that leaf of Tennessee fire cured tobacco. There's various ways to cure tobacco after it's been harvested. There's a couple of different ways to harvest. There's priming, and then there's stalk cut. I like trying. I would venture to say that the majority of cigars that you smoke has probably been harvested in the priming method, where they go out, over the course of 6 to 8 weeks, and they pick a few leaves off the plant, starting at the bottom to the top. Probably on a lot of tobacco plants, you're probably going to get anywhere from 12 to 16 usable leaves off of them. Depending, right? There's a lot of variables there. How big is the plant? How tall? How many leaves are on it? Obviously, so on and so forth. But there's priming, and then there's stalk cut, where you just cut the stalk off at the ground and you cure the leaves on the stalk. On the stalk, some tobacco has some level of sun curing in it. They might just let it sit out a little bit in the sun and do a little bit of curing. I believe the majority of curing tobacco, they will take the leaves, they'll bind them together, they'll hang them, on a pole, and then they're going to stack them up. I'm sure you've seen the photos. If you're a cigar person, you've done your research, you've looked at pictures. It's just the open air barns. It's full of tobacco leaves hanging on poles, stacked, from floor to ceiling. Like I said, very rich on the retrohale. Very toasty, nutty, woody. The smoke is kind of medium to medium full. Yeah, great smoke. Just on the actual smoke, that's a great smoke as a cigar, but on the actual smoke itself, I like it. Maybe medium full. We'll see how the cigar progresses, but we are just kind of building up to where that smoke might just get exactly to where I like it, where it's lush and full and, thick and creamy smoke. So, yeah, man, that's great. But, you'll see that curing process, back to the curing, maybe a little bit of sun curing, let it sit out in the sun for a little bit. But most of the time it's in open air barns, and it just kind of air cured tobacco, letting it dry that way. And then there's fire cured coffee. Got to have it with a cigar. It's 12 o'clock. I'm not much of a beer drinker, and it's 12, and I don't want to drink bourbon at noon, especially because tonight I've got tonight's the kickoff for a big barbecue event in Travelers Rest called Southern Roots BBQ. It's 4th annual. It's a great fundraiser for children diagnosed with rare diseases. So, tonight's the Pitmaster welcome dinner. I'll be bringing Brandy out there. Brandy's my sweet cigar trailer, custom built teardrop style. You can visit my website, mobilecigarbox.com, to check it out. So I'll have her out there with all the smokes and all the company swag in it, celebrating tonight, Pitmaster welcome dinner, and a lot of the vendors and everybody will be there. And then tomorrow out is the big day. pitmasters from all over the country coming, a great vendor section, live music, libations, all the stuff, raising money to help children with rare diseases. Yeah, it's going to be a great time. So I'll be out there. I don't know how I got on that, talking about coughing and then that, but back to the curing, right? There's fire cured tobacco. So you'll have that barn, where you would hang all of your tobacco, and then they will legit build a fire in the barn. You got to be careful with that, of course. You don't want to you don't want to catch things on fire. We just want the extra heat and the smoke to work at curing the tobacco. So they'll build a fire in there on the floor. It'll be managed properly. It's not a raging inferno by any means, right? We're just getting some fire cured, imparting some extra flavor, some extra zip and smokiness into the tobacco as it hangs, and the smoke just, the fire and the smoke and the heat just kind of waft through the barn and helping the tobacco to cure. There it is, man. Icarus by Jake Wyatt. Got a little canoe right here. Not a big deal. I'll give it a minute. We'll see if it evens out, and if not, I'll just roll that ash off and I'll just touch up the sides. I don't think that's a problem by any stretch of the imagination. Don't look, if you've got a cigar that has some tunneling or canoeing, don't freak out about it. It's nothing you're doing. It's nothing the manufacturer did. It's nothing the roller did, right? This is a matter of humidity distribution throughout the cigar. When you have a patch in your tobacco that's been sitting in humidity, and for whatever reason, this tobacco in this little part has absorbed more moisture than the area around it, while the fire naturally is going to burn where there's less moisture. And so that's why you have that. So right here in this section, for whatever reason, there's really no way to know. It's just a matter of, there's so many variables, like what's your humidity in your bag or in your humidor, how many cigars are you trying to keep humidified, if you're using if you're using an actual humidor cedar lined, how well is the cedar in there humidified? Are your cigars having a fight with the cedar for moisture? Do you keep cigars of all kinds from Connecticut all the way to Maduro? You could get super nerdy and keep your Maduros in a separate separate humidor away from your Connecticut's, because Maduro cigars can handle better a lower humidity level than the Connecticut's. So, I mean, there's just so many variables there, but for whatever reason, this is not Jake Wyatt. This canoeing right here, this is not Jake Wyatt's issue. It's not even my issue. This is just out of my control. I've got a Bovida bag, and I've got, I think a 65%, maybe 69. I don't remember what's in there. And there's probably, I've got a couple of them in there, and there's probably 60 cigars in that bag. And for whatever reason, right here, that section right there has a little less moisture than that. And so it takes the fire longer to burn the wetter portion of the cigar than that. That's all it is. So it's not anything to freak out about. It's not anything you're doing wrong. So we'll see. It's not a problem. This is a killer cigar. So Tennessee fire cured, imparting a lot of flavor. Piloto Cubano, generally considered to be a robust tobacco. Pennsylvania broadleaf, San Andreas Maduro wrapper, killer cigar. There's also Criollo 98 tobacco in the filler, and then there's, as the binder, Dominican Olor. So I've been talking too much, so my fire's gone out. I'm going to relight right here really quick, touch up that edge, put a little fire to the edge, and help things even out, dry up that extra moisture right there. We'll be off to the races. Man, that's good. That's really good. That's amazing. I don't know what I'm going to choose out for myself to smoke tonight at the Pitmaster welcome dinner, but I'm pretty sure it's not going to be as good as this. I need to order a couple of boxes of these. I'd like to have them on hand in my cigar trailer, but honestly, almost in a selfish measure, I'd like to have a couple of boxes of these just for my personal stash. So JakeWyattCigars.com. Check out everything they've got. You can find them on, let's see here. Let me just pull up Instagram really quick, and I'll throw out, and I'll put all this stuff in the show notes. Yeah, pretty simple. Jake Wyatt Cigars on Instagram. I'm not sure if they are on X, but check them out, give them a follow, smoke all their stuff. If you don't have a dealer near you and you want to get some stuff from Jake Wyatt, send me an email. Since we use a Sunday Afternoon Smokes, that's fine. Sunday Afternoon Smokes at gmail.com or cigarboxsc@gmail.com. That's where I do all my cigar business from, but this is, the Sunday Afternoon Smokes podcast. Send me a DM on social media, send me an email, whatever. If you want some Jake Wyatt stuff, you're not going to be able to get it directly from them because they're a distributor and it's illegal for distributors to sell directly to the public. You'll have to get it through your local dealer or a guy like me. I'd be happy to get it for you. Yeah, man. Killer. Abso-freaking-lutely delicious. Icarus by Jake Wyatt Cigar Company. There it is right there. Get you some. Bold, robust. Doesn't look like a Maduro, but it most certainly is. Don't let looks fool you. Looks can be deceiving. Check them out. Give them a follow. Highly recommend. Man, this is if you grade on a scale of 5, so it's 5 out of 5, 10 out of 10, whatever it is. This is one of the best. I mean, we're April 11th today. Finished the first quarter. We're now in the second quarter. But of all the cigars that I have smoked this year, this is one of the best cigars I've smoked all year. This is an absolute banger. I love everything about it. And look, totally even now. 100% even. Not an issue. 10 out of 10. Highly recommend. Will smoke again. Thanks for watching. Hope you have an awesome weekend. I hope you get to light a few cigars this weekend. Sit back, relax, enjoy your, whatever it is you're enjoying, whether it's yard work, fishing, if you're a baseball guy, MLB's in season, hanging out with family, with some bro time or girl time if you're a female cigar smoker, whatever it is. Hope you have one of the best weekends of your life. Thanks for watching or listening. We will be back with another episode of Sunday Afternoon Smokes very soon. Y'all have a good one.